Good afternoon and welcome to another edgy conversation. Today I'm here with Tim Dawson from Kingston Road United Church in the Toronto area, and I'm thrilled to hear about everything that Kingston Road has got going on. Tim is a describes himself as an avid volunteer. Is that how you describe
An
yourself?
act, an active
active
volunteer.
active volunteer and doing great things with music and art and yes, this is going to be a great conversation. Can you tell us a little bit about Kingston Road and what you're up to, Tim?
Sure, my pleasure. So I'm sitting here in front of a beautiful painting, first of all, uh, it's 9 feet high and 11 feet across by a wonderful artist named Jacqueline Trelaw, who has become kind of we call her our resident artist. And the sanctuary has several of her hangings. One of them, it's in storage right now, is 33 feet long. So I just thought it would be a nice backdrop for this interview. Um, and it sort of, in a way, shows what our church has become, a place where art and music are embraced, and and to use that overused phrase, but thinking outside of the box, and it's become necessary for us in recent days. So, if you,
That's so exciting. Music and art and thinking outside of the box. How did all of those connect for you? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So, my wife and I first came to this church in 2014, and the first, I'm a musician. I don't know if Sarah mentioned, I'm a bass player in the Toronto Symphony, where I've been for 43 years. Next year will be my final year. But the first thing I do when I walk into a space like this is think concerts. And so that was my first thought. And so the Kingston Road Village Concert Series was born in 2014, where we do, well, 4 to 6 concerts a year. My wife insists that we keep it down to 4 until I retire, because it's a lot of work. And so we've had fantastic concerts over the years, and we've raised money for the church. And what I always tell people is, normally concerts lose money, because that's just the way it is. The Toronto Symphony, I think our concert tickets raise about 10% of the cost of putting on a concert. So that's the normal way. But here we have very generous sponsors that cover the cost of the concerts for the musicians and the production. And then the ticket proceeds go to the church. In recent times, that's been the roof, because the biggest project for maybe ever for this church just took place, where we had to replace the 100-year-old roof. It was a slate roof, and it ended up being over $1 million because of COVID delays. And it's a big chunk of change for this church. So we've had to really just think about it's been a blessing in a way, because it's brought us together as a congregation. It's kind of re-energized us to think of new ways, and we're ending the first year of a 5-year plan to come up with. I think we have to come up with $700,000 or $800,000. I guess another $700,000. So it's just like, how do you get there? Well, you take one tiny step at a time. One fundraiser, then another fundraiser. So it's actually turned into some fun ideas.
So that means that you've already raised $200,000 toward the roof then?
I think we've raised about $300,000 towards a million plus.
Wow, that's incredible. And this is through your concert series.
That's no, that amount includes uh, an active fundraising campaign. Uh, we sold some things. So that, no, I can't. We can't claim that, no, that's everything all combined.
Everything all combined. Okay. So what else has you been doing then to
So,
raise?
well, all that fundraising campaign is ongoing. Right now, we started off with council and the internal, sort of a very, very internal campaign, and then we moved into the congregation, and the next step is to move it out into our local community. And the Kingston Road community it's a really cool place here in Toronto. The rents are still, for businesses, are still somewhat affordable. They haven't gone through the roof yet. So there's a lot of interesting places close by, and so there is support from the community. So that's the next step. But I really wanted to talk today about two of our very exciting projects, and one is online at cruc.ca or kru.ca. It's called the Tile Project. And so we've invited artists from across Toronto, including the Ontario College of Art and local artists, and to paint the 100-year-old roof tiles. And then we turn around and sell them for $100, and the artist gets $50 and the church gets $50. And I've got a few examples. We have many, many tiles, as you can imagine, because it's a big church. So it just looks like an old roof tile, but then hand it to an artist, and they come up with stuff like that. That's one
Oh, isn't that
example.
lovely?
And we don't tell people what to paint, and so we have many, many examples, many different styles. And my comment to people is that art is a very personal thing. You might like something and I won't, and vice versa. So eventually you're going to see something you like. So if you don't see anything you like right now, just wait around a while, because this is ongoing. And the invitation is there for artists as well. So we sell these at the intermission of our concerts. We sell these. We've got a big event coming up on June the 10th. It's a street fest. So there's all kinds of activities at the street fest around the church. And so we'll be definitely selling the tiles, and hopefully we'll get some of the artists there as well. In fact, we're going to have one artist painting on site. So that's one of our big projects.
Well, you've obviously you've obviously tapped into a market for these in the community, and obviously artists who enjoy doing it as well. And uh, what a what a great thing for everybody involved. Everybody
Yeah, it
loves
was.
art.
Yeah, and it was a surprise that you could paint on these tiles, because when they come off the roof, they're just these dirty old tiles, and so we didn't know if this was going to work or not. And we don't tell anybody how to do it, what kind of paint to use, or anything. And off they go, and then a little while later, these works of art come back. So it's been a surprise and a delight. And then to see, we'll put out a whole room full of tables with these tiles, and like I say, at the intermission of a concert or something like that, and then to see the room filled and people just walking around and choosing the ones they like. And like I say, they're all on our website now, which is great. So it shows the ones that have sold and the ones that are still for sale. And so yesterday, I think, was our first online sale.
We'll link to the website definitely in the comments below in the description below the video, so that people can go look and see more of
Thank
them.
you. Thank you. So the other projects we're just beginning. We're calling the Star Project, and that is came about because during the oh, I might want to close this door. I apologize. One second. This is a very busy church, and a bunch of kids are just coming in. Yeah, so during the coming out of the pandemic and during the construction, there was a wooden hoarding around the church to protect the church. And I thought, we better get to it before the graffiti artists do, because graffiti around the church, that just won't do. So again, our resident artist, Jacqueline, drew flowers, big flowers, on this is many, many feet of board. And then we invited the public last August to come and pay to paint the flowers. So we called it Paint a Petal Day. And people came and they had so much fun painting these things. And it just became this bright, beautiful mural, basically. And we made money from it for the roof, which is fabulous. And so when the roof was finished, the boards came down, but we hung on to them because there was this nostalgic feeling for this bright, colorful time in our history that it sort of signaled that something different was going on at this church on Kingston Road, which is a very busy road. But it was just like, okay, maybe they're not as stuffy as we think churches are, and there's something different going on there, what is it, So that when it came down, we started cutting stars from that same wood and trying to cut them around the most colorful bits on these boards. And the stars will be to recognize the donors that have already given and the donors that we hope will give. And just today, we put out a call in the local newspaper, the Beach Metro News, for alumni of Kingston Road United Church. And with any church, of course, there's this parade of generations that goes through from birth to to confirmation to for like just all weddings and funerals and family times. We in our church we have a bowling alley in the basement, so scouts and cubs and sparks and Girl Guides and what CJIT and CGIT. So we're putting out kind of a call to people that have had some connection to the church in the past. Maybe they got married here, to consider buying a star just to remember that time. And so my family, we have, so this is just a bit of the painted hoarding. And so we put a little name tag on it, and then it's going to be stuck with a Velcro system onto the wall, they put it directly on masking tape so it won't damage the wall, which is brilliant for our caretaker. He's very relieved. And so we're starting off with the people that have given the larger amounts as a thank you. And this is just to sort of set the project in motion and give people an idea of what it's like. Because with any new idea, there's skepticism and oh, will that work? So I just sort of bully through that a little bit. But I think that once people see this stuff on the wall, they're going to be, so it's just fun things like that. And everyone is unique. Everyone's totally different. And then years from now, you can come through maybe with your family or your loved ones, or it could be in memory of somebody. So it's just a way to also remember this time in our church history where we did have to get the roof done and what a huge effort it was for us. So these are just two examples of the kind of things, in addition to the sort of more normal bake sales and jewelry and jam and stuff like that goes on and will continue, because that's fabulous too.
Yeah, all of that is great. But there's always room for, as you said, being outside the box a little bit, being on the edge, and church doesn't always have to look like what it's traditionally looked like, right? And when we do that, then we get these beautiful expressions like we're sitting in front of.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know, if you have time, I'll just give you another example of the kind of thing that we've done here, because you never know. My wife and I are gardeners as well. We love growing vegetables, and it's just a miracle to see you put a seed in the ground and then boom, it's something comes out of it. And I think that, you know, we're humans are very similar, right? You never know when that seed that's been planted in you is going to come to life, right? It might be buried for years, might sprout right away, but you never know with ideas where they're going to lead, and that's kind of the fun of it. And so I'll give you an example. I'm a musician, as I mentioned, and I got an email from a Mexican musician, who was required by his government while he was living in Toronto to put on free concerts that displayed Mexican music and Mexican culture. And he asked if he could perform at our church. And I'm never one to look a gift horse in the mouth, so I said yes, even though our concert series was already full and we didn't have room for anything. I said, why don't you come at the end of a church service and sing the postlude? And then at coffee time afterwards, I'll run around, collect $5 from everybody. And then you come back and do a half-hour recital or a 40-minute recital. So he said yes. And we just happened to have a lady and her husband in church that morning. And she was, you know, she liked music at that point. You know, she liked music. But she just happened to be there. Anyway, so he came back. He was a countertenor. And a countertenor is a man who sings in a very high voice, often replacing women in classical music. So he came and blew everybody away. His voice was so gorgeous and so expressive. And so this lady that was in the audience, she was just completely bowled over. And as a result of that, so then that led to us having concerts with uh, well, there was one concert where we had 5 countertenors. And it's unusual to have one countertenor in a concert. To have 5 countertenors in one concert, that's insane. And then the next year we had countertenors and basses, and we had all these countertenors, and we had all these ones, so we were covering the full, you know, range of the male voice, you know, from the highest to the lowest, and including this boy who was 6'8". He came from BC. He had a voice that low. It was so incredible. So, and that all came from this one little free recital. And then that woman that got so excited has become the main sponsor of our concert series. And now she's got her own concert series called The Joy of Music, where she raises money for young artists. And it's completely transformed her life. And it was just an accident. It just, you know. So the most wonderful things happen when you least expect them. And sorry, I talk a lot, but I just mentioned one thing, and that's the most important lesson I think I've learned in my adult life was from my sister Leslie, who's a poet and a writer, and she said to always ask the people at the top. And because they're the ones that say yes, and that's how they got to where they are, because they were open to new ideas, and they didn't say no to stuff, they said yes to stuff. And in my life, it's been proven to be true over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So that would be my message for everybody: say yes.
that's great advice. Thank you so much.
My
You'll have to
pleasure.
come back and update us on everything because I want to hear about what you do next.
Oh, okay, that'll be a pleasure. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go? I don't want to keep you forever.
Well, just to reiterate what I was saying, that this challenge that we face in our particular church.
Oh, and it looks like we've lost him. Um, thank you so much, Tim, if you can still hear us, and thank you for listening today, and we'll be back next week with another edgy conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.